Last night, Congress passed the spending bill that's going to keep the government open. And it's good news for the American people because the government will not shut down and a needless crisis will have been averted, saving millions of Americans needless pain. And I expect the Republican Speaker and Republicans in Congress to honor their word. You know, where I come from, when you make a deal, you give your word, you keep it. You give your word, you say, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, and you do it. You keep it. You keep your word. And I expect the Republican Speaker and Republicans in Congress to honor their word and keep the deal they made months ago when they tried to threaten us with almost international bankruptcy by not paying our debts. Disaster recovery monies for communities devastated by wildfires, superstorms, and droughts. And I want to assure our American allies and the American people and the people of Ukraine that you can count on our support. We will not walk away. The vast majority of both parties, I'll say it again, Democrats and Republicans, Senate and House, support helping Ukraine and the brutal aggression that is being thrust upon them by Russia. Stop playing games. Get this done. This agreement today, while averting an immediate crisis, ends in, I guess it's 45 days now. It's already moving down. Just before Thanksgiving. Quite frankly, I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of the brinksmanship. And so are the American people. We shouldn't have gotten here in the first place. It's time to end governing by crisis and keep your word when you give it in the Congress. This spring, MAGA Republicans brought us to the brink, threatening to default on America's debt for the first time in over 200 years. And it would have caused a gigantic world crisis, both at home and abroad. But we reached an agreement. We shook hands, said, here's the deal. Well, now this fall, the MAGA extremists once again have brought us to the brink, this time to a government shutdown, and going back on the deal they made months ago, not keeping their word. Enough is enough is enough. This is not that complicated. The brinkmanship has to end, and there shouldn't be another crisis. There's no excuse for another crisis. Despite that, I did not believe we could let millions of Americans go through the pain of a government shutdown.
Mr. President, Speaker McCarthy's speakership is now at risk. Should Democrats vote to help him keep that job?
I don't have a vote on that matter. I'll leave that to the leadership of the House and the Senate.
Mr. President, what are your words to U.S. allies, and in particular Zelensky, on continued funding for Ukraine? How can you reassure them?
I can reassure them, look at me. We're going to get it done. I can't believe those who have voted for supporting Ukraine, overwhelming majority in the House and Senate, Democrat and Republican, will, for pure political reasons, let more people die needlessly in Ukraine.
And Mr. President, a follow-up on Ukraine, what is your sense of when the current U.S. funding might run out, and how much urgency is there? What's the timeline in the next couple weeks or months?
We have time, not much time, and there's this overwhelming sense of urgency.
Mr. President, are you going to be able to trust Speaker McCarthy when the next deal comes around?
We just made one about Ukraine, so we'll find out.
But are you worried that he is going to be forced by fellow Republicans to back away from any deal he cuts with you?
I hope this experience for the Speaker has been one of a personal revelation. I'm not being facetious. Anyway.
Are you concerned about America's reputation on the world stage, given the level of brinksmanship we've seen this year?
Based on the MAGA Republican report, yes. Based on what my administration is doing, no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Nice looking equipment, isn't it? Yes, we did get you 28 billion from China. That's not bad. Do it again. No?
President Trump, what's your reaction to the short-term funding bill?
We have to keep our government going, but I thought the Republicans got very little. I think they got very little. I think they could have done a much better deal. And it was a lifesaver for Biden. It was a lifesaver for the Democrats. I think the Republicans could have gotten more, but they'll have a second shot at it in a pretty short period of time. But really, to me, I think they could have made a much better deal. Many different countries, but the big one was China, and really the biggest of all.
To follow quickly,
Mr.
do you
President,
expect
Governor
Mr. McCarthy to remain Speaker? Do you support him?
Well, I don't
remaining
want to
Speaker?
comment on it yet. I think it's too early. It just happened a little while ago. I've always had a great relationship with him. He said very nice things, I know, this morning about me and the job I've done, Kevin McCarthy, so I appreciate that. I would like to see the Republicans get tougher because we're dealing against the lunatic left. They don't know what they're doing. Whether they destroy farms or they destroy everything in their path, including the cities, the farms. They literally are destroying everything in their path, and we have to stop that. But I appreciate it. He said very great things about me today.
What about? Yeah, love it. Nice.
Field, the same field all the time.
Right.
How long will that be, do you think, before that happens?
When Jamal Bowman that pulled the fire alarm in the Cannon building and disrupt the
So I think what Bowman, I don't know Bowman at all, but Jamal Bowman, a congressman from New York, did something that was as bad or worse. You look at what's happening to the J6ers, and they're putting them in jail for years and years, and this guy pulled an alarm system, and to show you how corrupt they are, he then said when he got caught, he didn't know he was on tape. I mean, I don't know how you can be in the Capitol and not know it, especially after what happened. And he said, oh, he was trying to get into a door. He thought he was opening a door. There was a door 2 feet away. He thought he was opening a door. It's a red box that says fire alarm on it. He thought he was opening it. This is the crap. And then they let him out because he's a Democrat, radical left lunatic. And he should be prosecuted the same exact way as the J6 people were prosecuted. And they've been treated, many of them have been treated more unfairly than anybody in the history of our country.
Thank you, President. Back right up.
But I got her elected.
Back
so
right
I'm
up. Right up this way.